I can pick like 3 really major relationships in my life where, I was like, oh, this is it, right? I stayed friends with both of those people and I married the third one. So I can completely understand having friendships with exes because, I mean, to me, those kinds of relationships weren't just for sex. So you had a friendship. The sex goes away, you still have a friendship. I think being friends with an ex is okay. However, you also have to be able to accept it. And I would say the major thing is if you both trust each other. I mean, I know a ton of relationships where this just wouldn't work. And it has nothing to do with being friends with an ex. It's because you don't trust your partner. And that's a completely different thing that you need to work out.
That was special, friend.
So sorry. I've never felt so technically stupid ever.
No, don't sell yourself short. Bro, you have to go back to Texas?
Yeah.
Like
I
soon,
didn't
right?
tell you?
Yeah, I know. You told me the whole thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know the when.
So I'm supposed to fly out Friday morning. Hoping that actually happens with all the flights that are getting delayed and canceled and
I know.
shit because of the shutdown. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna get out of here.
I know. And I'm supposed to go to Austin with my sister.
Really?
Oh, my other sister. My biological sister.
I like Austin. I'm jealous.
You should be.
Are you guys going just for fun?
Well, yeah, I think I don't know. You know that whole like thing that happened when I was in Florida and kind of reconnected with people that cared about me because I was going through a divorce and like all that shit sucked real hard. Like
Uh-huh.
she was kind of part of that. And you know our history and how difficult that has been. So I think it's a reconnection effort because when I was in Florida, I decided that we were just gonna like start from scratch. And so we've been
Nice.
texting more and stuff. So we'll see. I mean, not that we've ever, it's just usually people that like I have to reconnect with or like have some kind of reconnection effort with, like we fractured somehow. Like my sister and I never fractured. We just kind of like, I don't want to say grew apart. I don't think we ever really gave each other a chance to get to know each other. I don't know. I certainly never gave her a chance to get to know who I was. I just assumed she wouldn't be able to. So, okay.
Do you think that, like, now you think she would be able to or is able to? Something at least changed in your relationship to where I guess now you're trusting.
I was so invested in this narrative that like I can't be understood. And I think after this last couple of years or whatever, I'm just like, is it as important to be like understood or somebody open to trying to understand, right? Because at the end of the day, like not everybody's going to understand. Their experiences are different, perspectives are different, your lenses that are different. I think what I had to do was start to get over the idea that like, and honestly, I'm sure her perspective is different, right? But I built resentment over almost 40 years around us having the same parents, but a different experience growing up. And like at the end of the day, that's not her fault, right? But there's been this like this compounding resentment about like you've lived differently, you were raised differently, you had a lot more privilege and resources as a result. And I'm not saying like resource like they bought her shit, they didn't buy me. I mean like emotional resources, right? Like they sought to understand you because they understood what your they understood your journey, right? Like you're gonna go to high school, you're gonna meet boys, you're gonna whatever, right? And my mom understood that and whatever. And it left me feeling quite like neglected. And I think I tied that to her. And then I just kind of like built resentments over time because then what lens she developed was that of a person who lived in the world with the privileges that I feel like I never had. And while that's not her fault, like, I guess it felt better to be a victim than to accept the idea that, like, I have to do this work to be better. Like, it's not her fault.
Did you expect her to, or I don't even know if it's expect, but would you have liked her to just recognize that?
Yes. But is that fair?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I kind of think so.
okay. I mean, she might. I don't know. I never gave her a chance. Right? And
True.
there's a lot of assumption going on around
Yeah.
like, oh, she's not gonna understand that, or she's not whatever. Right? And even if she does understand it, is the expectation that she does, or is the expectation that her sister shows her like what that might be or what that might look like? And I think when we were growing up and I was in my adolescence, right? I was in my late teens, early 20s and struggling. My dad was doing his weird shit, gone. Like my mom was struggling trying to figure that shit out. Like I was alone. And she was just enough older to be independent and doing her thing, right? And so like we just kind of, at least from my perspective, I'd love to know what hers is, but like we fractured like in just space between us. Like it wasn't. And then I never really tried to repair it because in that time, right, like, she did try to support me, but the things that she was saying were through a lens, were her lens, right? And I can remember just a couple of things, like, I you know better than anybody, right? When I came out, I was all about rainbows. I would have tattooed it on my fucking forehead, right? Because like, I wanted people to know that I was gay and I'm part of this community and like, "Oh, y'all can fuck off if you're not part of this community," right? I was a very angry gay, right? And I had all these, like I had all these symbols and signals to say, like, "This sets me apart from all of that," right? And kindly, she tried to talk to me. She was like, "Hey, like, this is off-putting to people." Like, what? And she was but it was in her
But it,
circle.
yeah, she was just trying to be honest.
She was trying to guide her younger sister in what's acceptable and not acceptable in the world she was living in. But I'm not living in that world. And so I
Yeah.
felt like
And he didn't care, like,
so
at the time, at least.
my goal isn't to assimilate to your culture, right? Like, and so I resent your advice, rather than seeking to understand my angst or seeking to she was 21. Like, I don't know where the expectations came from, but that's what was going on in my head. "Oh, you don't understand." Push, right? "Oh, you're not gonna get it." Push. And whether or not I had to do that, I don't know, debatable, but I did it, and here we are. We have really no relationship, and that's shitty because she has 2 kids that I wanna have a relationship with, and I want us to repair, and I wanna have a family, at least with the people who, at this point, are willing to try to understand the journey that it has here, so, anyway, that's why Austin's happening. Um, that's a whole podcast.
It's easy to see those things in hindsight,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
should you have been like, "Thank you, I understand what you're trying to say to me, but this is how I feel about it," and of course, every responsible relationship should have very good communication, but what, at fucking 17 and 20 and neither no one knew anything, and we definitely didn't wanna talk about feelings, and even if we could we have expressed them in an accurate way? Like,
No, is the answer.
it's no.
Right. At the same time, right, that I didn't feel that connection because I didn't feel understood, I found you, and then subsequently found Christy. And I was felt understood in that crew, and so I had that, and so I lumped my sister into the toxicity of my family of origin and just right, like, "Oh, I don't whatever, I don't even wanna deal with that." Um, so I realized the flaws in that plan, and I know she does wanna understand. Jury's still out as to whether or not she truly can, and then which which is still fine. And I think that's the part that I've always struggled with. Like, we have had different lives. At this point, we've had exponential time in different lives, right? And so, can we come together as humans and learn who we are now and where that took us and then build a relationship from there? Because at the end of the day, I'm
Yeah.
not reliant on her understanding me anymore. I don't need her support to grow up and feel comfortable. And so maybe that gets to look like a friendship and a, sisterhood that never really existed much in our, like, teens and 20s, but and
Yeah.
30s.
Well, I mean, if she is even, wants to and is willing to try, I think that's definitely in
Well,
the right
I'm
direction. And if she can or can't, I don't know if it's
not a deal
like you
breaker,
said,
right? Like, it's
different.
that we're different people with different perspectives. Like, are we gonna like hanging out with each other? I'm sure we are. We have a ton of history, and to look at all of that could be fun without all that, I guess, prerequisite of understanding my journey.
Yeah.
Anyway, it feels stupid now saying it, but that was after many years of work. So, we'll see. Anywho, what are we talking about today?
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Hi, Andy. Bye, Andy.
He had to get all the dogs out of here. Uh,
Oh, yeah, sure. That means that you just didn't want us hearing your farts. It's fine.
yes, I
We
know.
know how that works.
I didn't have a relationship with my brother much either. And we were like the closest to in age. He's like 4 years older than me. But I guess by the time he was like, becoming independent and having friends and outside of the house stuff, we were already living totally different lives. Just because of everything that was going on with our family, and dad went to prison and mom became a single mom and trying to navigate differently. We moved apart, we lived in different states, we had friends. Like, I didn't know what was going on in his life, he didn't know what was going on in mine. It's not that we didn't care or didn't want to know. It just never became a priority until we got older. And then once he had a family and life starts to settle down a little bit, then I think we definitely wanted to learn more about each other. And it's like, I mean, I'm grateful because I think we immediately built that sibling bond as soon as we started talking. Hopefully that's, something you guys can do or start to do.
I think for you, I guess my question would be like, okay, one of the hardest things is having family that votes against your own interests.
Yeah.
And you know how hard that's been. I'm not saying my sister voted for Trump. I have no idea. I don't know. My guess would be that her husband did, right? And my dad and like my stepdad, and like, they're very MAGA, right? Like, whatever. How do you feel about that? Right? Like, because I know your brother's conservative, right? Like, how do you manage that? Navigate that?
It's tough because I personally believe that when people are making decisions like voting, that's a very serious thing. And it can have extremely serious consequences for a lot of people.
Here we are.
So I believe that to take on that responsibility, you need to be educated in those things. And that is not a belief that apparently a lot of people have. When I start talking to people and I learned that they voted one way or the other, then it's hard, but I try to come from like curiosity, like, well, what are the things that got you to make that decision? And then how much do you actually know about the things? Or is it like certain rhetoric that, I mean, like, clearly that shit works. Are you just looking at like specific things on social media and that's how you voted? Or were you actually looking into things, or is it a feeling? A lot of my family, it's a feeling.
Those are never wrong. Emotions, feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's definitely tough to have what you think are logic, like conversations about logic and facts, and versus feelings and just beliefs, those are very tough. Not that you're trying to sway somebody, but trying to get somebody to understand facts versus how you're just feeling about things. So recently I asked my brother to take a political leaning quiz or test or whatever, because I didn't believe that we were very far off from each other. Like, when we talk about things, it's like how I feel about old school politics, where you can have a Republican and a Democrat have a conversation and you agree on the goal. It's just like how to achieve the goal might be different. And those kind of politics to me, like, are understandable. You can talk through those things. and you can understand each other without being upset with each other. So after having a ton of conversations with him where we both totally agree on the thing, I was like, just out of curiosity, can you take this test and let's just see where you're at? And sure enough, he was one out of like a dozen things in the line. He was one to the right of me. That's it. I think just getting folks to like look at that and understand, at least you can agree that we have a common ground. You know, like ultimately, we see eye to eye on a lot of things. I'm not saying that this is ever going to work or would be the same with you doing it with your dad or something. I can't imagine. Out of 12, you guys might be 1 in 12 and not remotely close.
Like, I could have that conversation. Like, if my dad was reasonable, like, sure, I'd love to have that conversation. I do think that I would probably have to work on the idea that his ignorance created a vote to literally attack women and my community. But maybe I could make those forgivenesses, right? Fine. But, like, I think for you, what I'm hearing is, like, your brother is willing to have these conversations, right? Like, and that is, I
Yeah.
think, where the difference is for.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
Well,
also can't see your
I'm
brother, like, leaning into, like, the racist and xenophobic shit like that's happening. I don't see that. But Dad
yeah.
does, for sure.
No, really.
Oh my God.
I,
Yes. He posted some shit about Michelle Obama being a porch monkey. Like, he posted
oh,
about,
yeah. Yeah.
remember? Remember when
Yeah.
he put there was a post that had, what do we have? 2 or 3 at this point, Muslim representatives in our nation, and all of them were in front of the towers. Like, they are American representatives. You are so ignorant. How do you even begin those conversations? Like, and am I even going to put myself into that position? Like, you're so far off. Our value sets are so separate. Like, I don't even. It doesn't sound like that way with your brother.
It's not with my brother. I think with him it's easy. It's a lot easier because he comes from a place of curiosity as well. You know, like we're both just seeking to understand, even if it is emotion or feeling. Well, you know, what is it that's the emotion or feeling? Like, what's driving you to feel this way about the thing? And I think with he and I, we're both just, like I said, we're just trying to understand each other. You know, and because we know we're so similar. So for us to be on two different sides and be so similar, I think it's just, and it seems like an anomaly to us a little bit. But I've always chalked it up to, you know, he's super religious Christian. I'm not religious. Like I've just kind of always seen that as most likely our divide. And even
Mm,
with him being a little right of me, I think that's the difference probably, you know.
yeah, religious aspect.
Yeah. And I don't I mean there are some people in my family that are more, I mean, they're, you know, they're MAGA. They're what I would consider educated people. You know, and I don't
You're
even
talking about
I
the
it don't even
person you were supposed to have on the podcast.
yeah, yeah. And I don't even engage in conversations with those people because I already know no good is going to come from it. We're never going to see eye to eye. It's, you know, you can't get there if you don't have a common ground. I don't know that you can travel down the road together, you know? Like, I think it's just going to have to be, well, you're headed one way and I'm headed another, you know? When our paths cross along the way, we'll see each other, but that's not like we're not traveling this life together, so to speak.
But I hope they don't. Um, intersect again. Oh,
Yeah.
girl. We could talk about this all day. I feel like we had the same exact conversation on like 17 other podcasts. Um,
Yeah.
okay. Start us off with where'd you come up with this idea? Because I read it and I
Oh,
was
well,
like, oh my God.
Yeah?
Yes.
Nice.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, I was
Introduce it.
just trying to think of because like all the shit that's going on um politically and just in the world, it's just been so fucking draining on me. Like it's just too much. I can feel that this is not good for my mental health. I've gotten to the point where like I'm, I just can't even get on my phone anymore, like or I'm, making sure that I manage my time there or what I'm looking at, like I'm just focusing on like house stuff and trying to put my mind elsewhere. So then of course when we were talking about recording this weekend, I was like, I can't do politics. Like for my own mental health, I just can't do it. And it sucks because there's so much shit going on and there are a lot of valuable conversations that we could have. I feel like it's just putting me in a really negative place. So I was trying to think of some stuff to talk about instead this weekend. And then our thing happened. I don't even know. Was it last weekend or the weekend before that we were talking about recording
Last
and
weekend.
then it was last weekend?
Mhm.
It feels like a long time ago. Okay, so I had texted you, I think Saturday night or something. I was like, it's up to you if you want to record. If not, don't
It was
worry about it.
weekend before last, I think. Sorry.
I think it was.
Yeah,
I think
you're
it
right.
was.
I'm sorry. You were right.
So yeah, I texted you and I was like, oh, if you don't want to, it's cool. And when I said I was tired, it was like me saying I'm tired of like all of the politics and all this shit going on. And that's why I was like, I don't think a week's gonna make a difference. Shit's still gonna be like fucking draining to me in a week from now or whatever. But anyway, then the next morning I was like, oh, we can talk about, I kind of got excited about some other things that we could talk about. So then I text you. And I literally text you in like me in my head, it was a joking way. Like I was not angry and I wasn't like, no, you can get up. Fuck you. You're getting up. We're doing this shit. I was like saying it in a joking way. And I thought, honestly, I thought you were gonna text me back like, shut up, bitch. I'm not doing shit, like joking back. And so then when I got your text message back, my knee-jerk response was, what? That was like,
I knew it
just
was.
call me. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? So then I was like, okay, this isn't coming out of left field, Franny. Like this, Cristina didn't just become a cunt, via text. This is coming from somewhere. So I went back and I read my text and I was like, okay, if I were just reading a text, no context, this would sound like I was bitching right now. Like I was saying, like, nope, fuck that, your choice to go out or whatever. Like, I don't even know what I was saying. So I was going to try to explain that. And then I was like, no, she said she's sick. Her texting me back was already like bringing her more pain because she was sick. So just leave it. Just hope you feel better soon. And that was one of the hardest things for me too. Because, well, one, I wanted to be like, dude, I was just joking around. What, like, expect you to come back like that. But then at the same time, like, text is difficult sometimes when you can't hear context. And then it depends, I think, where you're at. So, like, most of the time, I feel like I'm joking and you pick up on that, but you're probably in a mood to hear or pick up on the joking. If whatever mood you were in, I'm assuming you weren't in the best mood when you read my text. Because I think normally, like, that's assumption. I could be wrong. But, like, oh, what was it? It was like Key and Peele did a skit on them texting each other.
Yeah, and they were
That's
reading it
exactly what
differently, meant a completely different thing. Yes, I remember.
that's pretty much how that went.
Okay,
And I
but
was like,
here's
well,
the
maybe
thing.
she
Okay,
was
first of
like,
all,
not a
I probably would have read it that way, okay, had I not gotten a similar message when I was struggling to get started on this podcast. So okay. So first of all, if anybody's ever gonna listen to this, I think we're probably down to a quarter of a listener at this point. But like, If anybody's going to listen to this, we got to tell them what we're talking about. First of all.
If
Okay.
you want to.
Me?
That's your
Fair.
person. Okay.
You're very grainy and very glitchy.
You have been the whole time.
Oh, really? Oh, hopefully it's fun. Okay.
So usually, like, the last couple of times I've stopped it and looked back, and it's fine.
And it's fine.
So,
okay, so we'll just keep it. Okay.
All
right.
It's gonna be fine.
So, apparently 2 weekends ago, Frances texts me and she says, "Okay, can we do a podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's been a while. Let's do it." And we agreed, kind of, maybe Sunday, maybe not, right? So, but it wasn't confirmed, right? And so I think you texted me and I didn't answer, but your last text was like, "I don't know that another week is going to make a difference anyway." And so I took that as like, "Oh yeah, okay, we'll just do it next weekend." But I was sick, so I didn't even respond to you. I was like, "Okay, yeah, she gets it," and put my phone down, right? And then I got progressively worse, okay? And my girlfriend had to buy me a compression hat because I sat in a migraine for 2 days. It was awful. I don't even know. I thought COVID, body aches, the whole thing. Anyway, so I'm getting sicker and it's hurting me, like looking at my phone screen. Like the only thing that didn't hurt was having this dark compression hat on my head. But I looked and I saw a few texts from you. And I was like I kind of read them, like one eye open, and I was like, "Ah, shit, she's angry." Right? Oh, fuck. Because it was like, okay, first of all, you're very directive. Okay. Number one, you have to get your ass up. It's not my fault that you made plans last night. Right? And I was already, like, the plans I went to the night before, I was already feeling like shit. Like, it wasn't. So, whatever. I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
She's mad. I don't feel good. I put the phone down. I didn't even answer the angry rampage, right? What I thought was an angry rampage, which apparently was a monologue stand-up attempt. So here's
No, I will say, like, even when I'm joking, it's like I'm half serious. Like I'm trying to get
so
across
you were
my
serious,
point, well, I was kind of serious.
You
I
were
wasn't
serious.
mad.
So don't tell me
any-
you're joking. If your intent was to send the message that you're frustrated with me, just say you're frustrated with me. You gotta joke about it. Then you leave me in this question.
Well-
I'm sitting here with a migraine.
Yeah. I was honestly like the opposite of what I wanted to happen was happening. Like I was trying to get something across in a lighthearted, funny way when they came across totally the opposite. But the only reason that I was even trying to like get across whatever where I say I was like half, I wasn't even mad. So it's hard to say like where I was half mad. The only thing that I was upset about was that I was like, it's up to you, let me know what you want to do. And then nothing. And then, so obviously, you know me, I still plan as if the things are happening. If you didn't come back and say, no, they're not happening.
I don't know if that's...
And you didn't. And then I was like, I think, so, here's where, and don't get mad, here's where I get half, where I was like, half mad. Cristina sometimes has a tendency to leave people hanging. Just leave a door open, and when I get, like, by the time I get to the door, I might feel like going in, I might not. So I don't want to shut it right now. I'm just going to hold off and then see how I feel. I'm glad you can acknowledge that and agree to that. That's
It's true. Yeah.
That's very...
I'm not a planner.
Okay.
I'm not. And
I'm
an over planner.
Nothing planner.
I know.
Yes.
I know.
I was like, oh man, Cristina just left the door open on me. Or I don't even know where my metaphor was, the door open or closed or whatever. But it was like, Cristina just left me hanging just in case, you know? And that shit just is like, that kind of stuff just annoys me because I'm a planner. So it was like, I would have done things differently, you know, that night, the next morning, whatever.
One time writing the You probably spent time writing what you sent me this week or something else.
Yeah. No, well, so then
Fair
that
feedback.
morning, really, I was just like, I don't want to talk about politics. But then after like the thing had happened and the whole text and I didn't get a response, that's when I started going in my head and I'm like, what should the rules between a friendship be in situations like this? So this is how I came up with the couple like questions or whatever that we were going to talk about.
I thought maybe. Okay, but here
Yeah.
that was Francis's perspective. Here's mine. Okay. I will take your feedback. You're right. I'm not a planner. Okay. So like if I say, yeah, that sounds pretty cool, that's not a commitment. That's a come back to me when it gets
Probably not
closer.
gonna
I'm interested in the things you just said. That's what that means. And yeah, this shows up in all my relationships. Right. And then in my last one, it was not okay. It was just right. That was actually a huge piece of the fracture. But if we're looking, I understand the difference between impact, right, and intent. But let's just talk about intent for a minute. Is never to leave you hanging, ever. I remember reading the texts and closing it because it hurt, and that's not an excuse. But I would do this even if I wasn't. I was busy with something else. Fair. I would close it with the intent of coming back to it and closing the loop, right? Like always. I'm not like closing it like fuck Fran, right? Like that's not a thing. I'm closing it and saying, I'll do this when my head feels better, or I'll answer her when I can get to Melissa and see if we're hanging out Friday night. I'll get to, right? Like I'll get to it and then I just never close the loop. So in my head, like I closed my own loop because I did talk to Melissa and we do have plans, so it's not possible. But I remember Fran saying it was cool to wait a week, so. And then that's like where it stops in my head, which is rude. And I need to close the loop for the other person in the communication. I get that. But like, it's never an intentional, like, fuck Fran. It's like, I just didn't do the thing I said I was going to do later because I got busy with something else. It happens all the time. None of my friends or partners would ever disagree with what we just said. But the intent is like definitely not that. I'm not a planner.
Yeah.
I'm just not. Like, and honestly, I'll be like, oh fuck yeah, that concert sounds great. Let's do that. I'll Venmo you $150. I'll do that right now, and I'll still fucking forget that it happened and that I'll plan over it. I will, and then I gotta disappoint someone, right? Like, and it's a whole thing. Like, I know, I've been trying to fix this my whole life. Okay, that said, okay, this particular instance, okay, I did not read it as joking because when we were starting this podcast. A year? Son of a bitch. Almost. Yeah. When we were talking about it as an idea, like because it was Christmas that we recorded our first one. So I was like, okay, so a year ago, I struggled. Like I didn't know how to all this equipment and the where things go. Anybody who knows me knows I'm like 97 when it comes to technology. I can't figure shit out. I don't want to. I didn't have Instagram until like 2 years ago. I didn't have Facebook from the time George Floyd happened to like 6 months ago. So what was that? 6 years? 5 years? Like I just don't give a fuck about social media. I don't care about technology advances. I worked at Best Buy for a long time. I would say that we were pretty up on technology up until I stopped working in there, and then I just rejected it from there. So like, I'm stuck in 2005 and I don't care. So like, this was hard for me. And then there's the aspect of like, well, I spent my entire life building my career. This is my staff are going to have access to this. My bosses are going to have access to this. Everybody I've ever worked with is going to have access to this. My exes are going to have access. Apparently I thought people were going to listen, but and they can still find it if they want to, or if somebody has something vindictive that they want to do, right? And so it was a lot. It was also like an emotional perspective that like kind of like felt like lead in getting started, right? Like, I don't know if right? I knew I wanted to do it. I knew I wanted to be brave enough to do it. It just took I think it took some time for me to get there. Anyway,
Well,
when that
and
happened, Francis, okay, sent me a very, very similar text to the one that came a couple of weeks ago. Okay.
I feel like the first text I sent you was way harsher because it wasn't like I was waiting an hour and I got disappointed. I was waiting like 3 months or something and then hit my max. So it was probably, I could look back, but it was probably a lot harsher than I would hope. It wasn't, my message the other day wasn't as bad, but
Okay, but
I could
here's
be
the
wrong.
thing. When it came to the podcast, that became sensitive, and I'm pretty sure I owned it that time too. But anyway, what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
I know, I'm a new person. Say it out loud.
I didn't even knee-jerk respond to I'm a better person too. Like I did my self-reflection before I even text you back. When
I
normally
agree,
I would
and
have
I'm
been like,
wondering why you're saying that in a way like I'm disagreeing or that only one of us could have grown.
oh no, I'm just saying we've both grown. It's a good thing too. Like I don't know. I think if we could look back at our relationship when we were both like baby growth, you know, like before we improved. How did we communicate then? I don't think we did. I think
we would have blown up for days
and not talk for.
We'd have ignored each other until one of us was like, "Oh, I'm bored and I want to play cards."
Yeah. And then just act like nothing ever happened.
Yeah, and we wouldn't even talk about it either. We would just like let it go.
Sweep it under the rug. Forget it's there.
Look at us, Fran. We so grown. Anyway, the first one when she was trying to get the thing started fairly, okay, I was like, that was very serious, Fran. I was being addressed. And I knew that, right? And it took me a long time, I think, to respond constructively because my knee-jerk reaction is to be like fuck right off. I'm doing my best, right? Like, okay. And probably something sarcastic or find a flaw in her to throw back at her and, you know, all the things that happen when you really know how to communicate.
Honestly, I expect, well, fuck right off. That's what I'm expecting back.
Because that's what we would have gotten for 20 years.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. So, because it's fair, right? Like, if you're actually looking at the feedback you're getting and you're saying, okay, like, if that happened to me, right? Like, yeah, I can see how she's feeling that way. Now, you have a ton of reasons why you didn't intend for you to feel that way, right? But that doesn't mean you didn't have an unintended impact. That is the greatest lesson, I think, of my late 30s, right? Like, that is the greatest lesson that I learned. And it doesn't mean that I can always find it or do it, right? Sometimes it's still hard depending on the sensitivity, but like that's a thing. And that is what I've asked for always from other people, right? Like, so I have to somehow put my money where my mouth is eventually. Anyway, so she wrote me this text. It was very serious. We addressed it. We got our shit together and whatever, right? And we've had pauses in the middle for other reasons and family stuff and whatever. When I got that message, I just immediately assumed that it was the same tone. That's it. That's all that, like, in my head, I was like, God damn it. Like, because this is serious for you. Like, and that's how you explained it the first time. Like, and I think that we've gone back and forth because I almost feel like you're worried I don't want to do this unless it takes off into something else. Like, I give no fucks about what this podcast brings us. I will spend, what are we spending? $80 a month? 100? I don't, whatever.
They were down to 65.
$65 a month.
Canceled.
Great, because if you were here, we would be drinking $65 worth of beer each time we hang out. Like, I don't, like, you know what I mean? Like, if this is a connection point that I'm paying $65 a month to do, like, that's great. And I have so much fun doing this. Like, so, but
it's like the cheapest therapy for me.
$1,000
$33 a month.
Yeah, well, do it by hour. That was real cheap.
Yeah, true, right? It's like $5 an hour. Sweet.
All right, if you were actually paying my real rate, I would make way more money on this thing. But look,
personally, I don't care either. Like, I mean, I wasn't going into this like we were going to be, like, monetize this podcast with do something or
Right.
any of that shit. No.
I know. And so when it's important to you, I was assuming and tying that to more like mental health and connection and our relationship and
Yeah.
like and that kind of stuff. And like of course I want to be here for you in those ways and I need that too and it would have been good for me too. It's just like I in the beginning I wasn't ready in a couple of different ways. And this time I was just like fuck. Like I didn't want to do it again, but I know I've been like I was sick and then and then I've been falling in love, so we know what that does and like yeah.
That we should just take the pressure of trying to make this a weekly thing. Take that pressure off and let's just say we're going to do this as a monthly thing. And if we do more, then great.
I'm down.
But like, and it's not even just like the recording. It's like all the shit that comes after the recording too. So that's, just another piece that I didn't really even think about. The time suck part of it.
Oh, that's
But
true. And that does fall solely on you. I have no girl, I didn't know how to turn my computer on. I'm not gonna be able to edit shit and do whatever the hell you do with these things. I don't know. I'm happy for you to
here,
train me if you want help, but it'll have to
yeah,
be over Zoom.
maybe we'll do that one day.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so you said, like one of the one of the biggest lessons you learned or the biggest piece of your growth? I was gonna say mine has, which is something that I've always, always, always sucked at,
Huh.
but have always wanted, is like, and it's gonna sound so cheesy because I hear it on reality shows all the time, and I'm like, who the fuck? What are these people even saying right now?
There is
But like
nothing you're about to
feeling,
say that's gonna be any more cheesy than what I've been living in for 6 months, 5 months. Go. Go.
I don't know, just being heard has always been a problem for me in a multitude of ways. One, I can never express myself in a way that like I feel people hear me. And when people express themselves to me, I would immediately go to clearly I wasn't trying to do that versus okay, I've heard what you said. I completely, like doing I guess a bit of the self-reflection, like why I told myself just go back and read the text and see what the fuck she's actually talking about. This is coming from somewhere. She's feeling away for a reason. So me trying to practice like hearing other people has been a big thing. And I don't like I've never liked that, doing that.
I know. Me
But
either.
that's the big thing with my growth.
But that's the
So
same thing. How is
I
that
think
different? I mean, not that we can't have the same aha moment, but like that's the same thing. Right?
well,
I'm crazy.
no, what did you say yours was?
It was intent versus impact, right? Like, so I would always defend my intent. Like, you should not feel that way if I didn't mean to do that. What a stupid thing.
Right.
Right? Like, and
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
then I would chart a course to explain why they shouldn't feel that way.
Right. Yes.
And that
Yeah.
became
No.
the goal of the fight. You shouldn't feel this way. Here's why you shouldn't feel this way. Bah. Right? Like, and
Yeah.
then somehow that, and until they agree that they shouldn't feel that way, like, how is that, like, yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
That feels
I
really
guess. I
and
mean,
it makes sense because that's what you and I would get. That's what we would do.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Yep.
We did not effectively communicate for years, decades. We just knew we wanted to be friends still. So we just got over it.
Yep.
Funny. I'm
I
proud of
do
you.
like
Look
that
at
though.
you. Look at you. Stop it. Growing and shit. Frances was a
Annoying.
Republican who couldn't take feedback. Look what I turned her into.
Okay, so back when I was like, okay, let's not talk politics, like, and then with the shit that happened between us, and I was like, what are the unspoken rules? Because, I mean, it's not like you get a friend and you're like, okay, these are the things that I'm
How do we feel
expecting
about
of.
cancellations?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are the unspoken rules? Like, how long is it acceptable to cancel plans last minute? Or, I don't know, to even crazier shit, like, is it okay to date an ex? You know, like, what are
Okay,
your feelings
in
on
whose
any?
friendship is it okay to date an ex?
I think it's okay to date an ex.
What?
I mean, it didn't work out. Like,
Mhm. I run an
uh, why would you stop two other people from possibly falling in love if it didn't work out between you and that person?
Do you want that person in your life forever? That's a weird setup, yo. Imagine if I married Big. Cut this out if you need to. What? Okay, I'm straight. I meet Big. I
Yeah.
fall in love, and you are the best. Fucking, you're my maid of honor. And then
Yeah.
every
That,
Friday
okay.
night we're
You're right.
having
It's
dinner.
you.
You,
Yeah.
me, Big, Andy. And then
Yes.
I'm like, oh my God, I want my sister around. So I buy the house next door. Me and Big, living it up. We get kids. We so happy. Every Christmas you have to watch my kid with the newest toy because Big is rich as fuck. Like, you're not. No. You stupid. That's dumb.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. Damn it. You always convince me out, like, talk me out of my shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
I was just thinking of it like never having to
Apply it
deal
to
or see with
yourself.
them. Yeah, pretty much. No, not apply it to myself. Like, if I dated somebody and yeah, I just wouldn't want to see it, I guess, is the thing. I honestly wouldn't care. If you lived in Colorado and I didn't have to see you guys all the time, I'd be like, all right, I mean, have fun. I hope you guys love each other. I'll see you when I see you. Don't invite him.
That's not how that works.
I know,
How that
it's not,
works.
though.
Do you have any idea how many things I've been to with you or your husband? Because there are things you don't separate a couple from doing.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
the idea here is not, and honestly, I don't know that it has to be a hard and fast rule, right? Like, there could be an ex in your past. You're like, well, I don't know. Yeah, sure. I don't remember his name, right? Like, that's different.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. And so the dialogue definitely needs to happen. But to say 100% you're okay with your friends dating your exes, like,
Actually, so one of my friends, very good friend, hooked up with my husband once, and it was weird.
that's
It was
before you.
like,
That was before you, though. So that's part of the same scenario.
it's still weird. Like, it's
It is
always
weird.
in the back of your head. Every now and then it just kind of creeps up, and you're like,
Did they have
she's
sex?
seen your husband's? I don't know. I'm pretty, well, from what he says, because I've literally, what?
Wait, did they have sex or not?
What he says is they didn't have sex. And I never even ask her about it because it seems weird. It's one of those things, 99% of the time, I would never even think about it. You kind of forget that the whole thing ever happened. And then every now and then, I don't know why, it just,
Remember
I know
correctly,
something
there's
happened.
also an intimate moment between you and her. So I wonder if this is the same for men. Does Andy think? So you and your husband have kind of. That's interesting.
Intimate moment. No. A bet is not an intimate moment. Oh, I hope my mom doesn't watch this episode. We were playing truth or dare type shit, you know, because that's what people in their 20s do when they're drunk and stupid.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that was my dare.
Okay, was it a peck or like were you making out with it?
No, it was a peck.
All right.
It was not intimate. It's intimate in the way that, like, just being naked in a room together is intimate, but not like feelings
Each other.
intimate.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
It was a
yeah.
dare.
There.
You did the dare, and then you went back.
We were playing strip poker before that. That's
Okay,
how
so
smart we are.
question number 2 or 7, I don't know. Help me understand why the game ended, why clothing didn't go back on.
Because then we started playing Truth or Dare because we were, I don't know, we were just silly, gullible girls. Not even gullible, that's not the right word, but what's the next best game to play when you have girls sitting here naked? Probably Truth or Dare.
I don't know that answers my question as much as made it way worse.
I don't know, and it definitely makes it worse.
Yeah. Yeah, that feels like a dangerous situation for a couple of vulnerable, gullible, 20.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were playing with boys we liked. Anyway,
Well,
I'm not saying I was smart when I was 20.
no, I know you weren't. Yeah, no.
And
So does
my
it sound like the same human that, like, dusts for fun now?
yeah, right?
They just
Boy,
did.
my
This is the
priorities
picture I
have
met.
really
People
changed.
didn't believe me. Oh my god. Yo. I You were a fucking mess. Like, back on it, I'm like, "Oh, shit. Alright."
Dude, I think about I've done some terrible things. I've put myself in some fucking shady ass situations.
Me too.
I am
Mhm.
surprised that a lot
Were you
of bad
there
things.
the night that was I with you and Wanda or a different friend group? We went to, the pool hall that what's her pseudonym? My girlfriend, the
Sarah,
bartender, what's her pseudonym?
Sarah, I think. Cause
Okay. So, Sarah, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Um, so before I met Sarah, we still went to Victory because right? When we were hanging out with, like, Wanda and shit. No, that was Sarah.
yeah, I met you when you were dating
Sarah.
Sarah, and she was the bartender there
Okay. So then
when I
no,
met you.
because so this was even before I met you then. So I was in, like, high school. Oh, shit. Okay. Well, I was at Victory. Yeah, no, we hung out there in high school. That's how I knew about it. That's how Sarah learned about it. Yeah, anyway, so we were hanging out, met these older guys, hammered, hammered, jump on his fucking crotch rocket, goes 120, 30, I have no idea, so fast down Military Trail.
Like,
Military Trail at, like, 3 AM. I'm like, "Okay, there's no that, like, is so dark." Yeah, it was bad, and then he made a U-turn, dropped me back off, and took off. Like, how many different bad things coulda happened in that situation?
that's what I was
Like,
thinking. Like, I can think of at least 4 terrible things that could have happened.
yeah, if
Yeah.
playing the odds, something should have happened. Like, that was dumb as fuck. Like, what's wrong with people? Like, what's wrong with me? I don't know. I
For
don't
me, it
we
was
found each
alcohol.
other, though, because we did some stupid shit.
Uh,
Yeah.
we did. Fun though. I mean, that's you gotta live life, you know.
You just have to survive it.
Yes. And then I watch like true crime shit now, and I'm like, why are these girls putting themselves in these situations? Like, well, I can tell you why.
Yeah.
Goodness.
You know what fucks me up? And I don't know that you and I have ever actually had this conversation because I have this conversation with people here because the Epstein shit happened since I was living here. But you realize that's Royal Palm Beach High. That he did all that shit with it.
Yeah.
Epstein. Yeah. But okay, now for all of our listeners, when I was there, which would have been my high school? That would have been my high school based on where I was living. Like, at least for the first half.
Yes. And you were, was that your age?
Mhm.
Like,
Yes.
were you
I would have been
around the right
when
age?
so the 2 main girls, right, that came from Royal Palm High that became, like, in his network or whatever, right? Like, those 2 girls were seniors when I was a freshman. Same system. Crazy, right? But I went to Catholic school, so they drove me 25 minutes away from all of that, but like, that's nuts.
That is.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
Thank you.
One of
Nobody,
the
like,
coaches.
here, I'm like, that's not rascal. But, like, what a fucking weird, like, gratitude for privilege in that particular scenario, right?
Yeah. I didn't even think about you being like that age.
Same age.
You know,
Mhm.
I would have been way too old for fucking Epstein.
God.
It's like, I got no steam.
Yeah.
Get her out of here.
Well, I think about my sister too, because when I was a freshman, she was a senior and beautiful, right? Like that would have been, I don't think she would have been gullible enough to do all of that, but like she would have been in class with those girls as that was happening.
Yeah.
If she didn't go to the same school I would. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it wasn't even about gullibility or like in the situation. I mean, it was funny. A lot of the girls, sadly, they knew who to target for sure.
My family didn't have the economic stress that probably would have thrown her into.
Led
Not.
to that.
Yeah. Not at that point, anyway. But
It's the private school.
yeah, that's better. Though that's better. Yeah, that you walk away with lifelong scars you have to deal with instead of the, short-term trauma.
Oh, they're all long-term trauma.
That's true. I not short-term trauma of Epstein, short-term trauma of high school in like public.
Oh yeah. No. The other one, like for sure, long-term trauma.
It's also a lifelong journey.
Yes, sounds like it. So, do you have any of these like unspoken rules besides it is not okay to date an ex?
With friendship, I think, like, for me, all of it is so logical, right? Like, so it feels stupid to even say some of them, right? But, like, unspoken rule, like, ride or die, bitch. Like, it's not even a rule as much as it's like, you need me, I'm there kind of shit. Like,
Right.
that's what I expect from a friend, right? I should be able to call any of my friends at 3 a.m. if I'm in trouble. Like, that's the kind of human I call a friend. I have acquaintances, but you're not my friend unless I can call you at 3 a.m. and you got me, right? Like, so it's probably why I have so few.
I think, I mean, like the typical loyalty, confidentiality, which I fucked up once.
You really did. You fucked up so hard. Confidentiality, my tits. This bitch. You know what? We shouldn't even be friends after that. I should never have given you another after that breach. This bitch.
No, I don't know. I don't know how I got back in your good graces after that one.
I don't know that you did. I'm very mad. Still.
You're still super angry
about
with
it.
me, right?
Yeah. I still doubt your loyalty to me. 20%.
I would never do that now.
So for anybody who's listening, when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, working with Frances, and she was my boss at the time, we were also really good friends. We would go out and smoke cigarettes. We were very bonded. I would tell her anything. I trusted her with my life. And then, it's true. But at the time, I was super gay, right? I was in like the rainbow wearing phase, right? I was like, I'm so gay, right? But there was this one guy that we worked with. And at the time, our jobs were to like unload trucks and like put shit away. And like there was this guy that worked with us who was jacked and he looked really good taking these boxes down. And I was like, now it feels weird to even say that knowing who he is. I don't want to vomit. But anyway, at the time, right? Like he was just this burly dude and he was cute. And I was like, and also like we know now he's like kind of a psychotic mess, but like he was nice and kind and took care of us. And like he would always like get the heavy box so that we didn't have to. And like he was a good addition to like our little group at the time. Right. And he had been doing it for a long time. So he was a leader naturally and like what should be done and all the things. So he was just hot and helpful and funny and got our jokes and we were a little group and I was like finding myself attracted to him and I'm like, that is fucking weird. I am so gay. but like I'd hit that. And then I told my best friend this. Okay. The girl, the one, my boss, this person I put on a pedestal as this beacon of honesty. She
Yeah,
texted
right.
me one day, right? I got to see a text from my best friend. I open it and she goes, "Oh my God, Cristina wants to fuck Justin." And I was like, thank you. And I was like, this bitch did not just text me instead of whoever the fuck this was supposed to go to. I don't know. It was Ashley or I don't know. The one we were just talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was questioning my sexuality and I shared it with my best friend, and then my best friend told her other best, or was trying to tell her other best friend, but texted me instead. That's the kind of person we're dealing with here. Francis Connolly Lafferty.
I was definitely wrong in that one. Very wrong in that.
Yeah, I would think
I
that
would
that was a
never.
breach of one of the most important friendship tenets.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, besides those, like, typical ones, I the one I one that I love the most is us. Like, I really love friendships where you can just like be comfortable with long silences and low maintenance periods where, we can go like weeks or months without talking, but then pick up the phone and we just start off right to where we left off without resentment or awkwardness, That's one of my and I don't even know that, like, I wouldn't say it's a friendship for me, but those are gonna be my closest friends, like, and I'm not entirely sure why. Like, does it say something bad about me where I love long long periods of not talking to friends or something? Like, I just appreciate people that can understand that and just not be awkward about it, or not be resentful or pissed off at you because you've got fucking life shit happening,
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And mostly because that really pairs well with my inability to structure or plan anything. So people don't get mad at me when I forget to text. But when they text me, I am so happy. Like, I love it, but I don't think of it. I just don't. I don't. And then I will, because of the work and the last year and how important that's been. And like when I was at my darkest, like I really try to be more intentional about it. And I think that we are doing this and we have a lot more connection points than we used to, but we were the same. For the majority, I mean, I moved away from Florida in 2013, right? For the first time. Our relationship had to endure that a lot. So it was like, I think we had to make the decision that it was more, because I remember you would be upset with me if I came home and didn't give you more time, or like whatever, right? Like there were expectations, I think, that weren't possible because of the way I started living when I moved out of state. And like I think we had to adjust so many times to it, because South Carolina, back to Florida, to Denver. Like it's like I was I don't know that we ever actually settled in as much in the second time in Florida. Like, the first time in Florida,
Yeah.
it was, like, downright enmeshed, right? Like, that was and I loved it. It's not even a bad word when I say that. Like, we were, like, attached at the hip, and then when I came back, different you had a different life. You had different things. I had different things. Like, we had to adjust, and I think we've always just chosen our friendship over all of the other shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it's the only adaptive way to have a friendship, honestly, when you get older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I think so too.
Rules. Why do we even write subject? Like, why do we even write, like, questions or prompts? We don't need to. Whatever. I do wanna ask you a question, though.
Okay.
I've had a lot of conversations lately about the differences between, like, straight and gay, specifically lesbian. I can't speak for what happens within a gay relationship, but all gay relationships, but within mine and the lesbian ones I've been in, right, there's like a certain culture that that I have lived within, right, for a long time, and that comes with a set of rules, right? And if you're dating someone who's been in the same world, in the same culture for a while, you align in this culture and with these rules. And so I didn't realize, because I've been part of this culture for so long, that they differ in like heteronormative relationships. So I'll give you examples and things, and then I want you to weigh in specifically because you're my gayest straight friend that I have. So,
Okay.
yeah,
So I'm gonna blend.
you are. You definitely are. Like I wouldn't like if we're putting numbers on it, like you're you're so close to a bisexual number. I can't even like, right? But we're not going to give you that because that's actually worse than just saying you're straight. So, here's the thing. Okay. So, I could explain that. That's something a lesbian would understand. Anyway, set of rules. And I'll give you the context. Okay. The experiences have been vastly different. Okay. But you know that my ex wife, right? I was the first woman that she had been with, right? Ever. Like, ever, ever, ever. Right. And that didn't feel like a big deal at the time, but it became a huge deal around like how relationships work and what structures work and like how I want to maintain my culture, right? Which is LGBTQ spaces and like all these things, and how that made her uncomfortable because that's actually not the world she was in or even whatever. So,
It came from, and I would assume related to a more traditional
yes,
relationship.
yes,
Yeah.
for sure. And so like that came with like a just huge things, right? And so when I got back out in like to the dating world, I saw it on a lot of people's like pages, right? Like a lot of lesbians were like, must have experience, right? Like, like, not experience preferred, but like, like required. And
I I wonder if they get a lot of the trying on
yes,
shit,
yes,
you know?
yes, we do. Yeah, absolutely. You even saying that already tells me that you know more than most. So here's the thing, okay? Like, I don't believe in restricting it. I didn't believe, like, I'm off the market, but when I was, like, the I thought about it. I did. I thought about it because it created so many problems in the relationship that up until that point meant the most to me. Like, I don't like, what do you I don't wanna do that again, right? And so there was a lot of that, and so when I saw that on people's pages, I was like, I it feels rigid, but, like, I get it,
Get it.
right?
Yeah.
Like, I get it, and so I did make the decision not to. I felt like with the work I was doing, it didn't align with who I was because I was recognizing the importance of humanity and humanness over all of those rules, right? Like, rules didn't matter as much to me as finding the person, right? And that sounds very pansexual. Absolutely not. So here's the thing, okay? I then I met my current girlfriend. Does she have a pseudonym yet? Does she have one? She didn't need one. She said she didn't want one. That's right. Okay. So I met Melissa and um not a lot of I mean, it wasn't brand new. I wasn't the first or the only, right? But I think long-term relationship, there wasn't a lot of experience like with women, right? And so we've had so many conversations about, like and she's been so open to being able to have, like is that a rule? Does that rule make sense? Does that rule make sense here? Is that part of a rigid culture I was a part of that we want to apply here? We're not like, there are so many rules that I was living within because I was in this culture, and I think that shows up in our relationship and things we have to navigate, right? But then there's a flip side that now I'm experiencing through her experience and the rigidity that those rules create within the community actually create, like, an exclusionary feeling for for her trying to come into the culture later on in life. Because imagine realizing, like, oh, maybe I'm not straight, right? Like, I don't know what that looks like, but I'm gonna try to figure that out, right? Like, imagine being that person later in life, jumping into an app, and then coming across, like, being hit with, like, oh, experience necessary to swipe right on me, right? Like, and so I'm seeing it through, like, a different lens, and I'm so grateful that I wasn't that human, right? Because we wouldn't have connected, right? But, like, I eh, so really, the amount of conversations we have had to try to navigate through these rules that felt so natural to me for so many years, right? That only when I started with my ex-wife did I even start to question, because I really just abandoned them. I didn't navigate them, right? I just left my culture and joined hers. That's what I did, because there was no amount of fighting that was worth the reaction that would have caused. And so moving through and now actually having to healthfully navigate these things, right? Like, it's fascinating to me. It's fascinating. So I'm going to give you examples and then I want your opinion. Is that okay? Go ahead. I'm going to give you a chance to speak. This is not my podcast.
No, well, I was just wondering, like, what are some of the rules that you're
Yeah. Okay.
referencing
Okay.
that were?
So, and this is going to be like a quick aside, right? Right here. What if I got like neon letters, like just like this big, that said social threads?
Oh, cute.
I know,
Yeah.
because I was thinking about how to bring in like neon lights into my space without it looking is
Like a bar.
glitchy. What's the word? Yeah, like a, well, I don't want that either. Anyway, I think this has become meaningful enough to me that like having that wouldn't, like, even if we didn't have this, it would be cute. Anyway, so
Yeah, do it.
example. And I'm happy to call in the other party. She said that I could, if you want to do that. Have Melissa on
Okay.
to talk about her side of these examples. If you think that'd be
okay.
yeah. Oh. What do you think? Yes, no?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where we're going yet, but
What? Well, I'm gonna let her guide the conversation actually, because I don't want to get into her business. But hi, babe. You there? Hi. Yeah. So we are recording currently. Is that okay? Okay. So we were talking about the
Wait. First, hi, friend.
oh, sorry.
I'm good, Ariel.
I'm good. I'm online Christmas shopping.
Now you're on video right
As
now.
one does, instead of doing things I should.
Oh, like fix your hair. Good job, babe.
You told me there was no camera. And
Well, then you started talking to Fran. You did this. You did this. Okay.
Why?
So, we were talking about the conversations that you and I have had to navigate around like the LGBTQ community's rules, right? Like in dating, and how we've had to navigate them. What's an example that you would be comfortable with us talking about right now?
Well, I mean, it's an interesting thing to come in because I feel like as I was dating and befriending more lesbians, I realized that everybody is friends actually with a lot of people that they've dated, so it would seem. However, there's a lot of rules what that looks like. And so that's been interesting to try to figure out.
Okay.
So who it's like appropriate to be friends with and who it's not maybe appropriate to be friends with, depending on who you ask to.
True. Okay. So what she's referencing is kind of twofold, right? One is just the very idea that we stay friends with our exes, and that like not just friends, right? Like besties. Like It's not like, oh, we go to coffee every now and then. No. Like they become part of your group, like your crew, right? That's a very common thing that happens in lesbian relationships, and apparently does not happen very often in straight relationships. And I think I wouldn't say that. I mean, it would. I guess with my exes, I I wouldn't. I don't have any except for Dwayne. Dwayne is a female, and like I we aren't besties, but we absolutely would be. Like, if we lived close or, like, and we text every now and then, and, like, every holiday and birthday, we check in with each other, and, like, if we lived close to each other, we would totally hang out. Like, we would be part of the same crew, for sure. And, like, that is just not a thing. So that's one aspect of this. The second layer that she was referencing is, um we were and we will split this into two conversations, I think. So the second one is the idea that we were on the apps at the same time, right? Like, obviously, that's how we connected. And so the people she was swiping right on, she was conversing with, and the people that I was conversing with. And so then when we decided to date exclusively, right? We had to have conversations with the people that we were talking to. And what those conversations looked like, right? Like, they differed based on what point of dating you got to, right? Or what point in emotional connection we got to, right? Like, and what was appropriate for staying in, right? And what was probably best to leave in a new relationship, right? And so those things looked different, I think, for us. And I think that was something to navigate to. So those were, did I get that right? Okay, yeah. So two different things. So the first one, your thoughts, my gayest straight friend.
If it's okay to stay friends with your ex,
Yeah.
is that kind of
Not, it's if you in a straight relationship, you are in one of those, right? Would it be okay if if one of your exes became part of your main crew?
I can answer for myself,
Which is always going to be different
but I
from
don't
the
know.
average straight lady. Yeah, we know.
Well, yes, but I also know that could. I don't know if that's actually what would happen in my relationship if my partner wasn't also comfortable with it,
True.
which is
True.
the other factor,
Fair.
right?
Yeah.
So I've actually I can pick like 3 really major relationships in my life where, I was like, oh, this is it, right? I stayed friends with both of those people and I married the third one. So I can completely understand having friendships with exes because, to me, you didn't just date somebody for sex, right? Like, those kinds of relationships weren't just for sex. So you had a friendship. The sex goes away, you still have a friendship. But I could also understand now I'm married and my husband is not comfortable with me being besties with one of those guys because we had the relationship that was more than a friendship. And maybe I have to kind of, navigate that. Maybe that friendship isn't quite like what it would normally be, where we're hanging out or, Friday nights, just the two of us going out to the bar and getting drunk. Like, those things probably aren't going to happen if my partner is not comfortable with it. But for me and myself, and if my partner's comfortable with it, those things would happen. Yes. I think being friends with an ex is okay. However, you also have to be able to accept it, which means if my husband dated a female and then they stayed friends and hung out, I would have to, show the same respect, which is the harder part, right? Like, it's easier for me to say it's okay for me to do it, and harder for me to say it's okay for me to be okay and accepting of somebody else to do it. That's a little more tough. But I think if you're both of the agreement, and I would say the major thing is if you both trust each other. I know a ton of relationships where this just wouldn't work, and it has nothing to do with being friends with an ex. It's because you don't trust your partner. And that's a completely different thing that you need to work out.
And I would say that that is the primary difference between trying to navigate this in my previous relationship versus this one, right? Like that just didn't exist. Yeah.
Yes.
You're right about that. So
yeah,
your answer.
I think like what I just said is probably not typical for straight relationships. And so your ex coming from those traditional kind of relationships didn't see that sort of behavior or, like, no, when you break up with somebody, you're just supposed to break up with them. You don't see those people. They're not, fucking invited to Thanksgiving. So maybe it was just uncomfortable for her because she never was exposed to it. She didn't like this was kind of an odd thing to even do. So maybe she, maybe she could have become comfortable with it. I don't know. But like you said, the first issue is trust, then the rest of it's never going to change if you don't trust.
Totally. And so then I would say in that relationship, it might be less about culture and more about trust. That's probably a fair assessment. Okay. So here's the thing. You said it's atypical in straight relationships, potentially, right? You said it might feel odd for people who haven't experienced the culture, right? Fair. 100% fair. Now, if it is not atypical, so if it is typical in the lesbian, we'll just call it lesbian culture, right? And maybe even older lesbian culture at this point. I don't know what those 20-somethings are doing. No idea. I know they're all poly something. Okay, I got nothing. So the thing is, okay, like, it is typical in our culture, lesbian culture. Is my partner allowed to be uncomfortable with it? Or is the onus, of course she's allowed, is the onus on her to assimilate to the culture in which she's now living? Or is it my job to walk outside of the culture that I know to accommodate my partner's comfort? Now, that last one, there are other consequences, which is me losing connection with someone who is very close to me. According to my last relationship, this would be Christy. Am I supposed to pluck Christy out of my life because my partner doesn't understand that I once upon a time dated my best friend? And that's what I mean. So for me, it is kind of cultural, right? The world I've been living in, I've had partners this whole time. It's not like I haven't, but they have understood, right? So this partnership, right, that I'm in, my choice is my best friend or my marriage. Like, how ridiculous, right? And so now entering, right, on the dating apps, doing it again, right? Like, we're trying to find our people. It's important, I think, to have dialogue around, like, hey, like, how do you feel about this? Because up front, I'm not willing to give up my best friend, like, up front. Now, am I willing to amend my choices moving forward? Yes. Right? This doesn't mean that forever and always I'm going to be able to pick up with my exes. I get that part, right? Like, why would I be reconnecting with an ex, right? Like, if that's something that's happening, then that can be communicated differently. I don't think that I have the right to do that without communicating with my partner about my ex. Like, it's not an absolute rule, but, like, I think that cultural clash could have been really problematic, or it was before. So,
Yep.
Would you like to weigh in since we're talking about you in front?
Okay, well, first, let's just make it very, very clear. I am not of the same inclination regarding Christy. Any of your friends?
I was about to get into that.
Just sort of like make sure that's crystal clear.
No, it is not. it is not her. That's not how our navigating this ended at all. Yeah.
Okay. No, it was more around like more short term, like friendships or people that we dated a couple times, and then it's like, do you stay in contact with those people or not? That kind of thing. I think long-term relationships are harder for everyone. And like, certainly I have that issue with my children's other parent, right? And so that's like a whole nother can of worms where there's not a choice around some of those things, I feel like. And so yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of feelings to navigate on both sides, but it's definitely interesting when you feel like you are coming into a community that has a somewhat unwritten set of rules and expectations. And this is just one of them, but there's been a bunch of other ones that we've talked about. Like some are just really funny and silly, and some are more serious and spark a lot more conversation. But yeah, I think you guys are right that it has to come absolutely from conversation, between both parties in either scenario.
Yeah. And no, that's not where we landed at all. I didn't mean to imply that if that's what it sounded like. I think we need to get into the second part if that was the primary thing, right? Which was, when is it okay? When isn't, right? And so what she was referencing was actually probably one of the harder ones for us to navigate, I would say. Which is we're both on apps. We both connect with people. We start to date. I already kind of explained this, but part two is those people that we connected with, right? The intent of having met those people was to date them. You weren't their friend. That wasn't a friendship, right? This is my perspective. It doesn't have to be yours. The intent was to date that person. And so I think when you're navigating that and you're moving that into friendship, I don't think that that's wrong per se. I think that there's a lot more to navigate, like feelings that had developed, right? And what that looks like, and intention of the other person, because now what you're doing when you've chosen someone, right? And you've chosen monogamy, and you've whatever, so nothing else is being explored like that, right? So we move into this relationship where you're committed to someone, and now you have these ancillary people who were interested in you in a very different way that you were no longer available to provide, right? And so those conversations have to happen. And so when we did those conversations, I didn't have anything really serious going on. Like I had gone off. I gave up after dating the artist nurse chick, whatever. I got off because that was like wildly disappointing, and like the apps were sucking, and I was like, fuck this. I'm gonna like kickbox and drink coffee and journal. Fuck this shit, right? And so I jumped back on, and that's when I met Melissa. I met her pretty quickly, so I didn't develop much of anything. For her, it was a little bit different, I think. There was someone of interest outside of me. I don't think it got really serious. You can speak to it if you'd like. But we had to navigate whether or not that was an appropriate friendship to maintain, right? And at least for me, the hard part, and actually I was fine with it in concept. So when we talked about it, I was like, yeah, we're be friends. That's fine. I don't care. Right. And I didn't. And I don't. Like, conceptually, I don't. Whatever. I've always been that person. But you know more than anybody what that's tied to. Right? I'm going to say I don't care so that I can maintain this distance between what can hurt me and what you have the power to do. Right? So, yeah, girl, I have to be friends, whatever. Right? And I don't think that was the reason I said I didn't care, but like maybe there was something tied to that. I don't know. Because I didn't want to care. I could tell you that. Right? So I didn't care, and the friendship continued, and I didn't care because I didn't it was an abstract thing. It was an abstract person. It was an abstract all the things. And then one day there was a circumstance where we got to meet. Me and the person, Melissa's new friend. And what I didn't anticipate was their connection. I didn't anticipate that. I did not want to see that. Mm-mm. Right? Because I'm dating, you know better than anyone. I keep saying this. I'm dating differently. Right? Like that ego stuff, the stuff that would keep me safe, the stuff that would have me in a power position, right? The stuff that has that has them wanting me more than I want them, the withdraw, right? The none of that. I've gone. There's nothing in this but like this, like me, who I am. None of that is there. And so threats feel perceived threats feel really fucking scary, right? And a connection with another human who was dating the same person that I'm starting to care about, and I think at that point, like, really caring about, I don't know. It was not okay. In my body, in my, like, I couldn't reconcile that, and as much as I tried to stay cool, I couldn't. I don't know why. So then that led us into this conversation, and she said fairly, like, but you said it's okay to be friends with people you dated. And I racked my brain, and this is where the rules come in, right? Because it's natural for me to think, because this happens. There's a whole concept about this in the lesbian community, right? It's called third wheel crushes, okay? It's a danger to lesbian relationships. It's someone who has feelings for someone in your relationship who you engage with as a friend, right? And the fractures that can create, and the right, like, and because lesbians are high emotion, high impulse, right? A lot of times that leads to affairs, and it leads to all the things, right? And not that I believe that's true here. I don't. But lesbian culture, okay, dictates that if anybody has feelings for you, and that becomes evident in any way, they're not part of your crew. Or the second thing that happens is that they become a third wheel, right? And they travel with you, right? I've had a few of those, right? People who have feelings for you and hang out with you and your partner because they feel excited by your presence. I've had a few of those. You can name them. I was that to Christy for like the first 3 months after we broke up. When she got back together with her ex and I was heartbroken, that was me. I was there hoping they were going to break up, and hoping I could pick up the pieces, and hoping that I could be her friend, and hoping that I could get back in there. That eventually turned into something else, and, whatever. Now we're best friends 20 years later, but it happens. It happens often. Lesbians know it. It's part of our culture. And the minute that happens, if you want to preserve your relationship, you're talking about how that person isn't in your world. Right? Like, this is actually a concept that happened on the L Word in season 6. So let's go look at that. I'm not joking. It is that serious. This is what happens. And so I think I applied that to my analysis of this situation when it didn't exist. How does Melissa have that context? She thought, Christina's okay with us being friends with our, like, why would she know the nuances of this rule? Right? Like, she wouldn't. And so we really had to navigate through. My thought process if I were to speak all of this through, right? Most people that are besties with their exes were like long term. And that goes back to your point earlier, right? Like, you have a live-in bestie for 6.5 years if you're Dwayne, 7 years if you're the one after her, 4 or 5 years if you're the one after her. You're living together with someone who you are getting to know. You know everything. You know how they tick. You know, it's either your best friend for those times, or you hope they are, if you can accept that. But like, it just makes sense for me that like those relationships you would want to preserve if you could, and if they ended okay,
Yeah.
right? But why? What's the value of someone you dated for a little while and she still has feelings for you?
Well, I think the big difference between like the long-term relationships and this situation is that you've also had those relationships. You've put in all the work and you know it didn't work. Like, your relationship ended for a reason, but you've already like tested it. You know, you've tried it out. You've done the things. You probably had some pretty rough times in there where you did everything you could to make it work. This is untested. They
And
don't
shiny.
know. Yeah. It's just the curiosity of like how good this relationship could be.
Mhm.
So that's always going to be a driving factor for whoever the other person is. It's not that they had a relationship and it didn't work out and now we're just going to be friends, because we know that we're just really good friends and not good in a relationship. So I think this one's a little extra tough because of that. And I would agree with you in the thought that like if she is hanging out, if she's sticking around, it's because she's hopeful. That and I don't mean to discredit the friendship, but if it was built first on an attraction and you didn't test the relationship, then I would put one and one together, that she's hanging out because she's attracted and hoping for a relationship.
Fascinating.
Don't hate me, Melissa.
Would you like a chance?
I'm just fighting with Cristina. Just my opinion.
So that's really interesting. And I appreciate that point of view. I think where it got really hard for us was that I knew my own intent and what my intentions were. And I think to me it was about my intent. But to Cristina, it was also about recognizing this other person's potential intent, right? Which it sounds like you kind of feel like was a thing too, could have been a thing, or could be assumed to be a thing. And that's how she felt also. And to me, I think I felt like, well, I don't have any evidence of that. And it was just it was an interesting moment, because there's also this part of coming in to the lesbian community, like Cristina was talking about, where some people like just don't want to engage with you at all or talk to you about these things, and you can be made to feel very naive about things. And so I know that I had defensiveness around that whole issue. And so I think this brought up some of that for me as well, just to be honest, because it was like, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know how things are. Of course, she never said that to me at all, right? But that was the message.
I can tell you that would not be assumed in this from who I was in the past, by the way. So thank you for saying
Well, I will tell you, that is not how it was coming out. But that was what I was feeling, just because of these other messages that I had been getting in subtle and not so subtle ways from the community, like in different spaces, especially when starting dating. So I think that complicated things too. And like when you are newly coming out, especially as a late bloomer, and you're trying to build community, then friendships do feel different, because I don't have that community. And it's something I'm trying to build for myself, but it has felt difficult in a lot of ways. And so, yeah, I think this is why this has been the topic of a lot of conversations. Is it plays on a lot of different things. Insecurities, I think for me, maybe insecurities and roles. Like for you, there's a lot there.
Well, definitely that,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I spent,
You know that, friend, I spent my whole life developing rules and protections and everything to protect myself, and the community did the same. So it felt very natural for me to just adopt those because it felt safer, right? Like, and because safety hasn't been something I think I've felt in a lot of spaces up into probably right now. But yeah, and
Well,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I could guess for Melissa it could possibly feel like you're kind of writing those or changing those rules just to help you also. Like this reminds me of like my brother and I used to play punch buggy when we were kids, but then like he would punch me right after I punched him and he would be like, "Oh, it was a convertible. You have to punch me and then wipe it off." So it was just like he was constantly rewriting the rules of this game so that he would always win. And so when you're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we're friends after dating," but not in this situation where it applies to me being the one that could get hurt. So I would not just feeling naive, but also feeling like, well, it's funny how all of these things like work out, just fine for you, and then I'm the one that has to give up. So that could also come into play. And I totally get the like finding a friend, especially in a community that you're just joining, like any friendship that you can develop in that situation is going to just make you feel better. And if, for her to, it's not her intent to have a romantic relationship, but does want to keep a friendship, in this community of people that she wants to be part of. Makes total sense. And I'm not saying that like my, suggestion would be to like cut this person out. You guys need to have those conversations and decide whatever is best for you. But if I were in this situation and I were to keep that friendship, I would have to be on high alert at all times. Like, because it's easy to, fall into the friendship mode of just having conversations and, who are you going to go to when you're having issues in your relationship? And then are they telling me what my friend would be telling me, or are they telling me what they want me, like, are they trying to sway me because of what their intent is? It just makes it so fucking tricky to where I don't know if I would be able to trust the friendship. Like I think I would just have shit in the back of my head all the time. But then you'd also have to be like, okay, at what point if something were to happen, could I just be like, look, you made a pass. That's not an okay thing to do. We can't be friends anymore. Like how far are you down the friend road if something like that happens? And can you do that? Do you give them multiple chances? Does something actually end up happening at some point, whether you intended it to or not? Like, it's just, I don't know, there's a lot of shit to weigh. But I can understand, like, too, if you wanted to be able to give her the space to have a friend in that community also. But then, same with you. You're always going to be on fucking high alert. Shit's always going to be in the back of your head.
Well, and then yeah, I mean, and what I find interesting is like I don't know that there's a right and wrong necessarily, right? I just think that's like this is a really nuanced situation, and I think that the lesbian community has gone through the consequences of this so often that we made a rule. And then we made rules on rules, and then we made rules on rules on rules. And I have just learned those over the course of the last 25 years. And so for me, it's just kind of it's not even conscious. It's like, no, that bitch is hanging around because right now I'm green grass, right? But if I start browning, she's still green, and she's real hopeful. And here's the thing, right? Like today, I don't think I would. I mean, I would care, but like it wouldn't feel that way. Like we were new. We were new. We hadn't built shit yet. We thought we had, but we hadn't. We hadn't been through shit. We didn't fight. We have done nothing. And so we were still on cloud 9, and that's great, but like I was not ready to feel even the slightest bit of threat around what I had just found. Like was not ready for that. So now though, like I don't at this point thinking about the person and the situation, like I don't know that I've thought much about it recently, but it feels kind of stupid, like the whole thing. But and I'm although she juggles and she's funny and
Like literally.
oh yeah, I have a video, I can send it to you. Like she's funny. Yeah, no. She's funny, and I liked her. Like it wasn't even like we had a bad time. I mean, we were very much in competition about who's funnier, cooler, and cuter, right? Like that's obvious. I won all 3 categories, and like it's just there's no competition. But I'm just saying, like, I like I would also like to be friends with her if I came across her in the Colorado gay community. Like I would love to. So like I understood. It's not like I didn't. I
Yeah.
don't think that our relationship was in a place that was appropriate at that time. I really just didn't. And I think that I had the responsibility of thinking about that and maybe having a conversation about that at a time that I was with Melissa. She's like right here, but I have it faced this way, so like I forgot. I can't see her face, but like she's like, I know she's not the kind of person that wouldn't have the conversation, and I knew that then. But it was more important for me to maintain this like. I guess I wasn't ready to give it all up, right? Like that I'm too cool to care about anybody else. Like
I mean, I don't even know if it was all that though either. I think you just really didn't want to have a problem with it either.
Mhm.
You know, just the fact that like she needs friends in this new community. Just that alone would have made you go, yeah, I'm not going to have a problem with this. It's easy, like no brainer.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you don't actually have the feelings involved. You just don't want to have the feelings involved.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
fair. I think where this backs up to culture though is when Melissa was saying earlier, there was some defensiveness and probably some truth to what I was trying to communicate nicely and in a nuanced way is like there is some naivete here. Like according to gay culture, like there's very obvious things happening in these situations, but try to explain that to someone who's not part of the culture. I look like a jealous freak. Like, how are you supposed to even like I don't know. That's where the culture part came in because I'm having to explain this is my reaction, and that seems kind of out of nowhere and fucked up because I said it was okay, and I like all these things. But at the same time, I'm like, how do you tell someone that the person who's her friend is most likely just hanging out in case I fuck up? Explain that to someone and not
Yeah.
sound like a jealous freak.
It's like we talked about when it's those walls that you build up. You don't do them out of nowhere. You you come up with these defensive because things have happened. It's not that you're just coming up with these because, you're guessing something might happen. They've happened time after time after time. And that's why you feel, like you have to guard yourself against this thing. And just like we said, when it comes to like having relationships or building friends or whatever, like there might be 2 people out of 10 who have the right intent, who just want to be friends. And you have your defense built because the last 8 people have fucked you over. But it's like you have to decide, like is it worth the risk? I'm not saying that this person has bad intent by any means. They might be just a nice person that has the right intent and just wants a friend, like Melissa wants our friend. But maybe not. And doesn't mean that today is the same as a year from now. Maybe she wants a relationship now. Maybe in a year from now, she's in a fucking relationship that she loved, and it's really just a friendship. Or maybe she just wants a friend right now, but 6 months down the line, she catches feelings. You don't know. Like, I don't envy your situation, either of you. I wouldn't want to have to make the decision on that either way. But, I don't know if there's even compromise where it's like, okay, we have the friendship, but we only hang out together. Like, at least the 3 of us. Like, try that kind of shit and see if it actually works. Maybe if you and her become friends, she won't want to fuck you over by making a pass at Melissa.
That's usually how that would go, right? Like if, like that's how it went with Christy's partners, right?
Is that?
I didn't. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna tell me that's what happened on the L word.
Oh no. Mm-mm.
No, it went sour on the L word.
Mm-mm. No. Although it did with oh god, what's her name? Helena entered the group by dating Tina. But then later on,
Okay.
Helena was just part of the group.
I don't know. Really, the only thing you can do here is let Melissa date this girl and see if it works or fails miserably. And just hope it fails miserably very fast. And then
That is poor advice.
I was kidding. My actual advice would be for both of you to compromise and be like, let her be friends, and it'd just be a group friendship, at least for now. Because that's the only thing where you both have to give too. Either other situation, one's winning and one's losing, and it's not about a partnership in any way. Like this,
Yeah. I'm open to that dialogue. I think we're in a different place now, and whether or not this is an issue, I don't even know is still relevant. But like at the same time, it's like this was one of those major like this is not just like an individual understanding of relationship thing. This is like there are rules
Pride
that I
and
have to
truth.
explain, and I sound like an absolute idiot. Like I'm like, what? Like, and then I'm not even realizing I have these rules until I'm explaining them, and I'm like, okay.
Like you said, this is a pretty nuanced situation. Like this is not. I'm surprised that you guys have a rule for this sort of thing because
We
it
do.
seems like an oddity. But I guess
An oddity in
if
the
you're
straight world, not an oddity in the gay world.
right?
Because we
Yes.
like to stay
Yeah.
friends with everybody we ever date, fuck, and marry. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what we like to do because we're women, and that's just what we do.
Well, maybe you guys should both stay on the apps, and you both know what you're looking for. Find somebody else on the app that you really like and set her up with them. Find her, There you go.
I think Melissa already attempted that. Would you like to speak to those efforts? Melissa already attempted that. Not literally going
Really?
on the apps, but like
Setting her up.
suggested dating again and what was it? Speed dating.
Oh, she wasn't open to dating?
And I was like, wow.
I win. I said I win.
Joking. This be a whole nother set of rules on top of all of the other rules. And are they
Yeah.
rules and are they agreed upon rules? That's something we've talked about a lot. But we're like, we need to write a book about this because it isn't, I feel like for people who are new to the community, it just isn't known and it's not out there. And I know, Cristina, that you think that there are some, and I'm not disagreeing totally, but that are like blanket rules. Everyone knows these rules, right? All lesbians know these rules. But I also have heard disagreement on certain aspects or certain things. So I think there's nuance too.
Oh, for sure.
But I find it pretty fascinating, and I'm really happy when people want to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I think what's funny is like I think it's flawed for my assumption to be that this is typical of every lesbian my age everywhere. I can tell you that Frances understands what I'm doing. Christy understands, like Pam would think the same, but we're all from the same place. Grew up together. Like maybe these are East Coast rules. I don't fucking know. Maybe these are lesbian East Coast rules. I don't know. But I'll tell you, I spoke to a couple of lesbians from the same region, and they all completely understand. And I don't know how. Actually, I don't know how specific it is if it's a theme on L word. Now that I'm saying this out loud.
Wouldn't that make it common though?
That's
For-
what
if
I
it
meant.
was-
Like I was just like contradicting myself.
Oh,
Right? I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
but it's also like a whole season of the L word, season and a half. You know, well, it is lesbian law, and don't you forget it. That's what the L stands for. You thought lesbian. That's hilarious. Just kidding. Actually, the whole beginning of it back in the day when it was actually like on TV, like the intro was all L words. So like lesbian love, la 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 la, like all L's everywhere.
Law was one of
Law was probably one of them. Just all the L words that exist in the world were the intro. Anyway,
Well, I mean, I was thinking about like, never go to bed angry type rules, whether or not we agree with those, and you guys pulled out.
that's hilarious. That is way less fun, and you should have known that is not what was happening here. But do you believe in never going to bed angry? Because we broke that rule already.
What?
Right. She never wants to, but does that feel like a sustainable goal?
No, because I think also we started off our relationship, and still, like, none of these things were issues for us. Sometimes taking space during conflict is actually really helpful. And you're right, I wouldn't be overnight. Sometimes it happens because it would just more unfortunate discommunicate. Like, I'm taking space and
Yeah.
let's come back together at this point. I think it's good.
I totally agree. I think the whole idea like forces just a rushed resolution, and a lot of the times just kind of ignores the actual issue. It's like, let's just solve this so we can go to bed because that's the rule. But I think, like you said, just saying like, look, I'm still upset about X and I know you are too, but I'm tired. And to be able to talk about this productively, I can't right now. Like, acknowledge the conflict, but just say, let's sleep on it. And then we can sit down and talk about this where we can actually discuss through the issue and come up with a shared resolution versus like, sometimes I think it makes it worse if you're just trying to like get to the point where you're not going to bed angry. And I'm definitely a person that has to just take some time and calm my brain. Like I get so mad sometimes that I will make a situation worse, especially if you're sitting there telling me like, no, we have to solve this now. I'll definitely make a situation worse like that.
Yep.
You agree, Christina? No, go to bed angry if you want.
I don't want to. I never want to. And that I am the person who's like, no, we're dealing with this now. And I try like, and then even in my head, I try to reset. Right? Like, because in my, in, for some reason in my head, I don't actually believe that space will do any good. And it's like, that's dumb. But also,
Yeah.
Therapist and all. That's really dumb. But at the same time, like I'm also, I would say, if you get through all the things, the hurt, which is usually just something that can pass, like if you actually look at it through intent, right? So there's like the hurt, and then like if there's any anger, and then like we have layers, and like there's all kinds of shit, right? But when you get all the way down to it, I'm sitting in fear. Like that is always what I'm sitting in. I'm sitting in fear that I have entered this thing as raw and vulnerable as I have, and I don't have the things to help if it ends up a dumpster fucking fire. And I don't have the armor, like I just don't. And so like when shit feels like uncomfortable or not settled or we can't communicate, it's so atypical of how we communicate usually that I'm instantly paralyzed in fear. So it's like I'm just trying to fix it. I'm just trying to fix it so that I don't have to worry about that. So I'm not even like to slow down and like analyze what I'm thinking or analyze where the actual hurt came from, or is the defensiveness coming from a part of me that needs to be explored? Like, is it like none of that's happening? I'm in panic. There's no like, so to communicate in the moment, I don't know why I think that's going to be successful, but I do know there can't be any additional physical or geographical separation of us until this is settled. And that's why going to sleep mad feels so uncomfortable for me. So is it a rule? I don't know. I don't think so. Is it wildly uncomfortable? Like, yes. And probably necessary, I guess, sometimes. But like, if we could just fight earlier in the day, that'd be great. Because we don't do that.
What if they like, like said like, hey, I love you. This isn't, a fucking deal breaker or anything. Like I just to be able to actually work through this, I just need, my brain to calm down a little bit, and I'll feel better if we do this after I sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Would that help ease your fear? Or
For sure. Of course.
you're like, no, you can go to sleep all you want, sure, but I'm gonna lay here all night worrying about every fucking problem that's gonna come up from this.
Yes. That would be super helpful. I also, and I think that Melissa is the human who is probably capable of that and has done that. For me to expect that to be the way that I function. So she has to tell me everything's going to be okay for me to be okay and go to bed, essentially making it her responsibility to make me okay sitting in fear. And I don't, and she would. Sorry, I'm talking about her in front of her. Yeah, she would. And her hearing this is probably going to come. It's probably going to come next time this happens. But for me, it's really the trust thing. Like it's the
did I do this with Melissa because I trust Melissa can hold it? Yes. So now I have to trust that Melissa can hold it, right? Or that Melissa is saying things when she says that she wants to be here and we're not fighting, right? And that we aren't as fragile as it feels right now. Like, I have to believe and trust that when she was saying that, it was true. And it's only that not being a natural thing for me, right? Like, trusting people whose roles in my life are meant to be to take care of me, right? And me, and in this particular case, me to take care of her. But I was failed in that every moment I was growing up. That's not a comfortable space to trust someone's going to be there when you've made them not feel very good, or when you don't agree on something. Right.
At your worst moment,
Yeah.
I'm going to expect the absolute best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's yeah. So appearances become far more important. So it's more important to appear like I'm okay, appear like I didn't get hurt by her, appear like I didn't, because if I showed weakness, it would be exploited. And so when I'm not doing that, and she can see that I'm not okay, that I'm broken down, that I don't even have the capacity to like make her believe I don't care. Like, I can't do that in here. And so like I'm exposed. I'm exposed completely. And if we're not okay and there's a chance of me losing that sucks, man. Like that's paralyzing. It's paralyzing. So
Yeah.
It's a me thing, and I know it's a me thing that I need to work on. And I think if she were to talk about her experience in those spaces, there are just as many things as for her that come up and that I trigger, and that never my intent, but that is the impact I'm having, and we have to navigate that. Like, there's a lot of that. Like, when everybody calls the first however many months like the honeymoon period, and it totally is. But like, when you're in it to win it, like, that's a whole different experience in a very short period of time. So like, it's scary. It's scary. So that's my experience in it. You already knew that though, because we talk to the point of nauseam. What?
Oh, that's sweet. Oh, actually, we have 2 minutes.
Okay. Do we want to jump back on, or we want to end it?
I can do either. I just have to be.
Do you think we have enough content?
Sure. Yeah.
Do you want to
could
close it
probably
out with
make 2.
something funny so that it's not all about?
Can't put that pressure on me.
Just get me talking for another 5 minutes. I'm just kidding. All right. Thank you for being a guest star. You're our first guest star, babe.
Thanks, Liz.
I wasn't thinking that show me to you at all. I'm in bed, in pajamas.
Nice.
Good to see you.
Oh, good.
But hang on.
It was good to see you. Not a hijack at all. It was good. Good conversation.
It is good conversation. I think this was really
Good luck with your dilemma. Whatever way you guys find to go.
It's actually not a dilemma anymore. But I mean, we'll see. All right. Well,
Hey, give her my number. Maybe we can. Just kidding. That was my attempt at being funny. It's
oh my
not.
God, she is your type. Whoa.
Whoa. Do you look like a boy and have a bunch of tattoos?
Yes.
That's what? She wear a flannel?
Oh yeah, she is totally your type. Actually, come on up to Colorado. Sorry, Andy. I'm just kidding. Joking, Andy. She's not a lesbian.
Well, you kids have fun. Okay, Livia, bye, Melissa.